welcome back to the Entertainment Vortex. Today we're at Brendan Theaters watching Coco, the new Pixar movie. Let me tell you, going into this movie, I wasn't really that excited. I really like Pixar movies. They're good, they're emotional, they're extremely well done visually, but I didn't really have a connection to the culture associated with this movie, and I didn't really know much about it going in. They don't really give much of the story in the trailers. You just kind of see these vistas and these neon colors, and it didn't really grab me. But I will say this, watching this movie, I am absolutely glad I did, because not only did it connect, and it has a subject that will connect to everybody with family and music, but the concepts of it that were not my culture. So when they would speak Spanish, for example, it didn't take anything away from me. You would think them speaking a language that I don't know, so I don't know what the person's saying, would make it harder for me to be immersed in the movie, but it really didn't. I found myself kind of understanding the flow of it and understanding how the movie was supposed to be making you feel at that point. They didn't do any important scenes where they're speaking a different language. So I found, even with the songs being in Spanish, that I was really enjoying it and I was really getting into it. That being said, they did an amazing job at really digging into this culture to make it as true to the culture as possible. And you have to appreciate that. If you're going to make a movie that's surrounded in the ideas and the beliefs of a culture, you hope they would take it super serious. And when you're animating something like this in a cartoonish style, it's really hard to lose that culture. And what I heard coming out of the theater and what I saw online, it seems like they really nailed this culture, and I absolutely love that idea.
So going into Coco, being a big Pixar Disney fan, I was really excited when I saw the first trailer for this. Basically anything that comes out that's, Pixar related, I am all in. I'm gonna go see that movie. I tend to try to avoid trailers in general as much as possible. I feel like sometimes they can break the immersion. There might be scenes you miss or ones that the movie misses entirely. And I knew from when I saw the trailer for this movie that it was something that I was gonna be excited about. The big thing for me is the musical component. As a musician myself, it's something that really resonates with me when there's a good story that involves music. This movie knocks that out of the park. The music component for this is absolutely outstanding. They do a really good job of making songs that, while they may not be everyone's language, speak the language of music and really come across the screen, and they make you tap your feet, they make you snap your fingers. Really a strong performance from the musical element. The production of the music and the way that they portray how the music is being played, how it's very lively and vibrant, and it matches this movie perfectly.
Being a Pixar movie, I cried like a baby because it's a Pixar movie and you're supposed to cry like a baby. It's like a checklist. Beautiful visuals? Check. Cry like a baby? Check. It's how Pixar movies work. Coming out of the movie, I was just so glad that I saw it. Not only is the story good and the message good, but the character progression, and as you learn more about the characters and as you learn more about the overall story and the idea and the message, I just became more and more connected with this world. It really made me want to see more of it, and I think that is a key to a good movie when it's period-based or culture-based, is that it makes you fascinated in something that you don't know, that you're not familiar with. And I have to say, this was probably the most gorgeous animated film I've ever seen.
The actual visual style of this film is out of this world good. I mean, this is probably Pixar's best to date when it comes to visual styling and effects. The coloring, how close they get to making an animated character that's also closer to photorealistic, the way that they use, I'm sure there's some form of motion capture that they used on the actors, because a lot of these, even though they're some of them are skeletons, they match the facial structure and everything really, really well, and it's something that helps you get immersed into the story. The actual performances of the characters are excellent as well. You find yourself cheering for Miguel, cheering for the little guy throughout the entirety of this film. You want him to succeed in his dream, basically becoming a famous musician.
The way they do some of these vistas and the way they do some of these larger, wider shots is absolutely mind-blowing. At the beginning of our showing, there was a little intro where some of the directors or producers kind of thanked people for coming, and they kind of broke down a shot, and I was just astonished. It was like 18,000 different things in the shot or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, I can see it. That shot is ridiculous. And it was a lot of that in the movie. The care and the work that went in to make this truly spectacular was It was there and obvious, and it was definitely appreciated, at least by me.
There are some twists and turns to the storyline that really keep you invested, but the overall themes of music and of family really resonate, and you can tell when you're in a showing room full of people, and you can see the reactions, and you can hear the reactions when things are happening, that something's been done that's really right, and it's going to stick with people for a long time. I know personally that it's going to stick for me. Not to get too much into my personal life, it was the anniversary of passing of my grandfather, and this movie stuck with me really hard. It's one that I'm going to think about, over the course of the next few nights, potentially even few weeks, as far as the message of family.
This is one of those movies where you get to the end and the theater erupts in clapping, and that really goes to show you that people don't realize that no one can hear them, but also that they really appreciated the movie. And I think that when you have an audience like that, it was packed, it was a sold-out showing, and you get that kind of a loud reaction at the end of a movie, I think you did something really right. And I definitely felt like this was an experience that I really would have missed out on if I would have skipped this movie. So, let's get into the importance of the Pixar movies. Being a huge fan of musicals, I want to talk about the music in this movie. The music is probably one of the most important parts of this movie. Not only because it's part of the story, but also because it is music of a culture that I'm not familiar with. The music that I'm not familiar with. I enjoyed it. I want to hear more of it. And I feel that every single song in the movie packed an emotional punch. And that's very hard to do. Normally when you watch a musical, it's like I have my favorite songs. I have the songs that I can take or leave. This one was just full of good songs. If this gets a nod for Best Song, or possibly even multiple Best Songs at the awards season this year, I would not be shocked at all. Not to mention Best Animated Picture or anything else they can throw at it, because it was a technical marvel.
The big thing that I was potentially concerned about with this movie was depicting a culture and doing it properly. This movie definitely was successful in that. I felt like there wasn't any huge caricatures or anything. It wasn't over the top. They took the subject matter and they made it something that was relatable to everyone without watering down that culture. The whole concept of Day of the Dead really lends itself well to this type of animated feature. Overall, this movie is one of Pixar's best to date. It's going to be the one that sticks with me the most, at least as far as, the next few weeks, months. I'm going to be considering this one as a heavy favorite going into the award season as far as Best Animated Picture, maybe even potentially finding its way over onto the regular Best Picture list. For the music, for the visual style, everything is top notch. It couldn't be better in my personal opinion. This movie is a 10 out of 10 for me. I'm gonna go see it in theaters again, and I'm just really excited that this happened.
I'm gonna give this movie a 9.5 out of 10. It is a masterpiece. Is it perfect? No, I don't believe it is. The beginning of the movie, I was having trouble getting connected. I didn't really know what was going on. There are certain parts where characters will do things that are just so extreme that it breaks immersion. But overall, this is an amazing movie. And if you don't do yourself the favor of seeing this in theaters, you're really missing out. I'm curious to know, what is your favorite animated picture? Go ahead and leave that down in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. That way you can get weekly movie reviews, as well as weekly Funko Pop videos, and all kinds of surprises, including some upcoming fan films we have coming out. I hope you'll follow us into the vortex. We'll see you next time.